Buying leads is the worst mistake any solar pro can make that guarantees they'll spend thousands of dollars without getting any sales or even appointments in return. So in this video, I'll explain why this happens and the much better alternatives that you have at your disposal today to get more leads and at a better quality without needing to go out under the sun or hire more people or cold call, just systems that bring you those leads on autopilot. Because if you're new around here, my name is Andreas, and for the past 4 years, I've been the CEO of Python Marketing, where we specialize in helping solar pros just like yourself to step away from the daily grind of client acquisition. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars running ads, creating different campaigns for different clients in both residential and commercial sectors, so we know exactly what's working right now. Because generating leads is not easy. Most likely you started out with door knocking or cold calling because that's what everybody does. It doesn't require any monetary investment. It just requires you to go out and put in the effort. And many people start to get results through door knocking or cold calling, but decide to just stick with it to try to scale past 10 sales per month. Which, as you know, if you're getting your own appointments and trying to sell them through door knocking and cold calling, it's pretty much impossible because most of the time spent is not even speaking with qualified people to begin with. Most of the time you're knocking on empty doors, people who are not even interested, they don't even qualify. So the bulk of the time that is actually spent is being essentially wasted. And even if you were to get good results with either door knocking or cold calling, if you asked yourself, what would I need to do to double my sales next month? It would most likely be either work more hours, so knock on more doors, or hire more people to do the door knocking for me. Because how many people do you know that are selling 10 plus deals per month without a team of door knockers or without having to hire external services? It's not a big number of people because it's so hard. That's why whenever a company offers to sell you qualified leads, without you needing to run any campaigns, without you needing to go out under the sun, it just seems like an easy escape from all the hard work, which is the majority of what you're spending your day-to-day on. And for most solar pros, this promise is just too good to be true, and they end up pulling the trigger. They buy a bunch of leads up front for $50 a lead, $100 a lead, and they soon realize that those leads are not even picking up the phone. They're shared leads, so they're competing against 3 or 4 other solar pros. If the homeowner even picks up the phone, they've already been spammed with calls and text messages multiple times. They're usually super tired of listening to this solar talk, and they're just not interested in scheduling an appointment, much less closing a deal with you. That's why more often than not, it ends up backfiring, with most solar pros having spent $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 upfront with not a single appointment to show for. And you might be asking yourself, why does this happen? Why are there no companies that actually provide good leads? Or if you have the mindset that you're just going to test out different companies until you get the right one, I'm going to break down ahead why that's not a thing that's going to work. Because the real business model that these companies have is generating as many leads as possible for the lowest price possible and selling them over to you at the highest price possible, which means that if they want to generate a ton of leads, they need to make too good to be true promises. For example, the government installs the panels for you. You don't need to sign papers. You get paid to go solar. There are a ton of examples just like this one that makes thousands of people react to the ad and actually opt in for information. Those leads are being generated for $5 a piece, and they're selling them over to you for $50, $100, or even $150. These companies are not really incentivized to give you good quality leads because the more quality that they actually add, the higher the cost it's going to be for them. That's why when you call these homeowners, they have no idea what they opted into due to the inconsistent messaging. That's why you call them and they're like, I didn't opt into anything, or maybe it was my cousin or something, because the messaging isn't coherent with the phone call that you're making to the ad that they actually saw. And with the too good to be true promises, once you actually explain the proposal, oftentimes they're not interested because they were expecting something completely different. That is, if you even manage to get in touch with them, because those leads have been sold to multiple different people. And with this situation, it's just hard to get people interested, if they opted into one thing, they're being called with another script and being told that the thing they opted into, it doesn't work like that. These are the true requirements and this is truly how it works. So it's hard to get appointments and it's hard to get sales. And on the cost side of things, for a $50 to $150 per lead or $200 to $500 per appointment for a few responses and no sales is probably the worst deal you could ever get. And the only true solution to this problem is to forget about any quick fixes or easy ways out. Any company that makes it seem like you don't have to put in any work, they're just going to do everything for you, is most likely a mistake and will not result in anything long-term for you. Because if you don't take accountability and generate your own leads, you'll always be at the mercy of another company that's giving you the quality and quantity that they can generate. But if anything were to happen to them, if they go out of business, if the quality starts to drop, if they can't supply as many appointments as you need, the one affected at the end of the day is going to be you. That's why if you want to build a vehicle that can really scale in the next 5, 10, 15 years, you got to generate your own leads and take control of your own sales process instead of just leaving it in someone else's hands, just praying that they'll do a good job or constantly cycling companies because the one that used to work last month isn't giving you results anymore and then you got to find a new one. And this is just an endless cycle because these companies go out of business all the time because it's a broken business model overall. And if you truly want to scale, you got to have your own sales process where you decide how many leads you're going to get today and with the exact quality that you need. This way, by generating your own leads with the same platforms that these guys would have used, but just taking control, you'll ensure lower costs per lead, higher quality because you decide what questions they need to answer in order to go into your sales process. If they're not qualified, they're not even going to be speaking to you. And you have complete control over the entire thing. That's the most important thing. If you take something from this video, is that you need to have control over the entire process if you truly want to build a business. Never be at the mercy of another company and what they tell you and what they supply in order to guarantee your own results. And I've actually created the ultimate guide to generate solar leads without needing to hire people, manage people, go out under the sun, door knock, cold call, any of those tiresome methods. I've linked it down below. It's the first link in the description, and I promise it's one of the most valuable videos you'll ever watch on generating solar leads. So go ahead and watch that right now.